Good morning, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining our presentation of today on the fund distribution for the investment world of tomorrow. My name is Alberto Rama, one of the co-founders of Investment Navigator, and I'm going to be joined by Christoph Hefti from Clearstream. How are you doing, Christoph?
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. And of course, very well. I really appreciate to have the opportunity to have a short presentation and intro into our thoughts about the market and the market strength. So basically 15, 18 years ago when we started, it was the tipping point of the open fund architecture. Investors did not accept anymore to only investing into captive funds which were promoted and sold from the bank's own management company. And with all the transparency coming and the internet, actually investors expected to have a broader choice with a huge fund universe along their asset classes and thematic preferences so far, provided by their own bank or an independent financial advisors. So here the intermediaries started to onboard unguided and unstructured fund of different asset manager. And in the high time of open fund architecture, many banks offered more free choices, any funds along clients' need and request, and ended up with thousands of single funds with small sizes, small holdings, and tremendous efforts behind. In the next phase, and if you look at the slide, in the golden source age, the investors evolved further and requested more and more also guidance, support in the selection of funds, and monitoring of their portfolio regarding the best in class funds and also in terms of risk and performance. So with the expansion of fund universe and the evolving needs of the investors, distributors faced a huge increase of data. Of course, that's kind of the oil of the financial industry in order to cope with the upcoming needs. And in addition, regulatory issues and requirements accelerated and also requested more data and raised the question ultimately how to collect and consolidate in an efficient way different data sets and streams. And last but not least, in the phase we're now in, we are entering into the next phase already, where investors proceed further and started the digital age with anyhow, anytime, anywhere access to their investment paired with digital experiences. So on the next slide, we could say all good, meaning that this journey provides a lot of opportunity for all parts on the value chain, the distributors, the asset manager, the investors, so more funds, more data, more products whatsoever, which is basically true mainly for the investor part. But there is a flip side of that coin. All these evolution of client needs, the upcoming trends for new digital ways of investing, and regulatory requirements are coming with additional costs, new processes, and risks. And beside these difficulties, the intermediaries are moreover heavily confronted also on the other side with shrinking margins, increasing cost pressure on the other side. And the big question is how to get out of this uncomfortable situation or disbalance and get a good balance between the requirements, the needs, and on the other side, the costs and the risks. I think the answer is that's where the fund platforms come into play. You see on that slide a schematic overview about the platform. A fund platform like ours is a one-to-one relation, absorbing a lot of complexity, risk, efforts by providing a real one-to-one instead of a one-to-n different relation. And on the other hand, platforms are also providing out of one hand and in a consolidated, structured setup, broad universe, which is requested and given, requested data, contracts, and ensuring also the continuous development and adjustment of all the necessary processes, products, along the regulatory requirement. That's also a given. We cannot change that, and the client trends. So in a nutshell, platform ensuring you to cope with a client expectation in a single, centralized setup without bother you around legal, regulatory, or other related topics. That's just in a nutshell. So we talked a lot about data, and if we try to take a holistic view on the next slide of all these requirements and trends and regulation, we have to confess it's all related to data. And as I mentioned, data are the oil of the financial industry. The question is, what about the collection and the use of it? And if we would go further and assess also the development and increase of data, the question is coming up, how can we cope with this huge increasing amount of data pools, and where do I get the best comprehensive source and, of course, the best quality? And we took a closer look at our data pool before MiFID. So in a nutshell, we summarized around 200 data points for a single fund before MiFID, mainly static and dynamic and investment data. After MiFID, picture turned dramatically. We counted additional 400 to 600 data points needed along these single regulation. And today we are providing 950 data feeds per fund. We're talking about 60 million of data points for our 70,000 funds on our shelf. And these data points need to be updated, consolidated, validated continuously. And I must confess, there is no end in sight. So I think it's absolutely understood that the choice of a golden and reliable source is essential, setting a sustainable and innovative business model for your investors. And at the beginning, we talked about the journey and the evolution in fund distribution, and we showed different aspects the distributors have been and are still facing by the open fund architecture with all the data and so on, and behind and the regulation behind, and also the upcoming or already existing digital chase for innovative solution. I think we all agree that the challenging environment is more or less pretty clear, and maybe you would differentiate a little bit the weighting or the relevance to certain issues. But the main question for the intermediaries or distributors remains, is it my core competency, collecting, validating data, sourcing documents, contracting with asset manager, invoicing fees, building up digital solution on my own, or should I refer to and collaborate with industry leaders in these different topics? I think in order that the distributors can be focused on their core competency and serving the investors and end client, there's only one way. And last but not least, the offering of a service provider, which is one of the options we recommend, should be modular, that the distributor can decide where and how they want to integrate in-source tool and solution along their specific requests. And my personal suggestion here is go for the best solution. Don't even go for second. That's I think go for the best and the optimal solution along your request and your need. And with that, I would like to hand over to Alberto Ramos, CEO and one of the founder of an industry leading company in their area. Alberto, stage is yours.
Thanks a lot, Christoph, for your presentation. Suitability is a quite big challenge. If you look to a specific product, the challenge behind is to whom are you actually allowed to sell it? And even if you have regulations like MiFID, which is aligning this kind of requirements, still is a challenge if you look to a specific product, if you're allowed to sell it to a client which is domiciled in Spain or in the UK. Suitability is a big challenge if you look to the slides. It has different topics to cover, and it's always important that you cover these questions before you propose a product to a client. And look into the different topics, for example, client preference. What is the intention? What is of the investor? What is the risk appetite of the client? You also have cross-border situations where, for example, out of Switzerland, you are advising a client which is domiciled in the UK. What kind of services and what kind of products are you allowed to show? Product eligibility, this is a really big topic, looking especially in the context of funds, because you have a lot of restrictions if you read the fund prospectus. Specific share classes have been designed for institutional investors, other ones for advisory mandates. All these kind of restrictions have to be taken into consideration if you want to distribute a specific fund to a client and select the right share class. A new regulation which is coming up is ESG. And ESG is also, again, a big challenge because now it's aligning to common understanding what is ESG compliant and what not, and how to take it into consideration when you're advising clients. And another big topic, which is more and more distributed have to be taken in consideration, is the tax impact investment may have for investors. For example, if you're distributing share classes which are not tax efficient for a client domicile, the client will have not a great performance after tax. And this is more and more getting important for investors to get the right advice in this kind of context. Taking all these aspects of suitability, in the past we had clients that took it over 45 minutes just to check one single ISIN. And this is because most of these checks have been done manually. So the client advisor may, consult registrations in one list. He has to combine this information with the recommendation list of the bank, and on a third platform, he may actually retrieve the required documentation like a PRIP. We developed a solution which actually allows you to check suitability in less than 1 minute, not only for one instrument, but actually for hundreds of ISINs at the same time. The outcomes are delivered in a simple way. They actually get, all the results are triggered as a green, yellow, or a red, and always with a rationale. So if an instrument is actually downgraded to a yellow, you will get a rationale. So for example, that it's not tax efficient. In cases where it's getting red, for example, because the registration is missing, you clearly get an indication as a user that this instrument is not suitable for your client. Our solution is available through different channels because we want to give the users the flexibility to decide how they want to run the check. So you can run it on a web page, you can run it on Excel, but also you can integrate that in your systems like portfolio management systems and have a fully automated suitability check on instrument level as you wish. We also combined all our knowledge with partners like KPMG, which are providing for us cross-border content. So you get a one-stop solution where all the checks are run by one platform and make it available to you through different channels. In the case of Clearstream, we integrated our service on their platform, so you can see on instrument level why the product is eligible or not. So in the case that we prepared for you, you can see that the product, for example, is not registered for distribution in a specific client domicile, and therefore that share class is not eligible for distribution to that client. And more than happy to provide you more information, and if you wish, and happy also to give back to Christoph for the final words.
Good. Thank you very much, Alberto. Now, again, I would like to summarize and provide you some key benefits and beauties of this integrated model Alberto presented and from our end as a platform. I think one of the most important thing is for distributors, but also for the asset manager, to have the visibility of product existing networks, which you don't have to care about contracts, regulatory issues, etc., including the data and also the publication. So a one-to-one relation on that end. And as already mentioned in some slides before, also the centralized and structured process along invoicing, calculation, distributing of trailer fee or any other related distribution commission on a one-stop shop. That's also something which is an absolutely key benefit for asset manager and product manufacturer. All these is resulting into an improved cost efficiency. So you take out any complexity, any unstructured or inefficient processes and replace it with a simplified, straightforward process. I think last but not least, it's also essential to provide your product manufacturer tools, digital tools, where they can have a look and feel about the holdings, about the structure of their distributed products and funds, and have an overview about the breadth and depth of their business with the platform. Sorry. Similar, the key benefits to the distributors. I think today distributors want to have a one-to-one relation and a comprehensive relationship, easy access to a global and continuously expanding fund universe. Because today we're talking about ETF, tomorrow we're talking about emerging market, and you need a reliable partner who could cope with your upcoming trends on the market, but also on your specific in that context. Already mentioned simplified process and increased efficiency also on that end. I think more and more also with shrinking of margin, the complexity is rising. I think we have to take out here inefficient process and replace it with really SDP process also towards the distributors. And we are all in the same boat, so regulation will not come back as it was 10 years ago. The contrary is coming more increasing complexity due to local upcoming regulation. And so it's also here a key benefit for platforms and also solution like Alberto presented, that they can ease the pain on the point of sales directly and in a very digital, straightforward and easy handled solution. Last but not least, of course, there is also some kind of a marketing pitch to the company we're in, Clearstream Fund Center. I think we're now in an environment where we really can rely on data from the Deutsche Börse company where we are in, and also build up innovative and user-friendly, not complex application. Maybe many of you know Fund Compass, that's one of the tools we are providing. So in a nutshell, I think these were the key benefits of this integrated model Alberto and myself presented. And I thank you very much for your attendance and hope to hear you soon. Thank you very much.